Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on May 7th, 2024 at approximately 4:30 p.m. PST. Now, I return to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the same philosophies I guide virtually every move. With this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me and have worked with thousands of other people to pay with varying degrees of success depending on their own personal effort. Now, today we are going to look at the creative side of it, and literally creativity. And intriguingly enough, the whole catch to making things happen lies with its roots in your imagination. And I know that sounds absolutely weird. If you think you can fly, you can fly. Well, that's not entirely accurate. Usually, if you think you can fly, you'll find you're falling with grace. Okay, now what do we got here? Joe Stewart, you are in with the gold. How you doing? Of course, I always look at the question of, hey, are the neighbors moving closer? As in the ones in your graveyard. Pop that up there and away we go. Now, like I said, it really boils down to this. You have to take a look at the world you're in and get an idea of what you're looking at. Now, over on this side of the room, I've got a bookshelf that it was weird. I got on the floor a stool and I had one box of comics. Okay, I moved the other two boxes in, two sets of shelves with my little blue bins. These guys here. Tell you, these little blue bins fit inside the old CD rack like an absolute charm. But when I stacked it all up without measuring anything, worked out that it sits right level with the top of the bookshelf. Now, I just simply went, I've got to get this clutter out of the way. So that's what I've been doing. This bit behind me now is just the last end of it, but it'll get done before tonight. When you have an idea in your head, okay, of what you desire your world to look like, this is when you start acting on it. Okay, start removing everything, altering the energy flow, altering the clutter, and the clutter is the critical factor here. Okay, anything that is cluttered that doesn't belong there is not going to work quite as well. The energy won't flow as well if you're cluttered. Okay, but get a picture in your own head of what you're. Let your imagination go wild. Like if you look behind me, okay, at this shelf here, can you see where that shelf is sitting? Can you picture that instead of being what it looks like there, can you picture it being made of oak? This is what I'm looking at. Now, I may have to move the one picture up a little. Depends on the size I'm looking at. Matter of fact, why don't I check that out? Yeah, I've got enough. I'll be able to move it up. When I get the the old bookshelf in, I'll be able to do it. I'm just trying to stay back to the computer because it looks like we're already in trouble with the signal. And I don't know what to do about that yet. Actually, I do know what to do about it. A buddy of mine actually has informed me as of Sunday, he informed me he will be able to hardwire the computer in without us calling in a tech. He'll be able to do it himself. I just have to pick up the cable. So he'll do that after I get back from holidays, which is ready to go. Okay, which really means, guys, this is the last day that we'll be here. That we'll be here until the 17th. What have we got? Joe's just going, oh, you got severe thunderstorms and a tornado watch. Nice. Yeah, a tornado will absolutely screw up reception. The other thing I always find fascinating is assuming a tornado comes in, who's going to take the time to go out and take a picture of the photo of the tornado inbound while the tornado is ripping everything apart? I mean, it would be entertaining watching, but might be a little nerve-wracking. Now, I'm looking at my world going, okay, I have taken gaming to a very different level. On Sunday, well, very different level for me. On Sundays when we game, our characters are literally building an empire. Kate, we have 11 properties between us. Now, the neat part is this is the same thing I'm aiming at in the physical world, but I'm letting my imagination lay it out. Yeah. He goes, I've seen plenty of fools do that. Actually, the neat part there at the distance I'm reading that, Lily, is I thought when I first read it that it said I've seen plenty of tools do that. Tornadoes are not something to play with. Yeah. What is this? Iowax, how you doing? Joey's in with the gold. We already know that. Iowax are actually in with the silver today. Glad you could make it. The neat part about storms is if you can imagine them taking place, then you can walk through it. The last thing I recommend anybody do is go, oh, I'm going to be fine, so I'm just going to stay out here. It won't touch me. It won't happen to me. This is a bad gamble. Oh, there we go. I walked in. I honestly never played Ark Survival. Yeah, Storm goes, tornadoes suck. Yep, literally. They also have one heck of a habit of bringing a hammer down. There was a tornado that went through here a while ago. It picked up a trailer, right? Picked up a mobile home, flipped it upside down, and dropped a square on the neighbor's house, 3 doors down. Very nice relocation process. Not great, but to be honest, if I were to change history, I would keep everyone. Well, I would keep everyone one unit for control. I'm not entirely certain how that fits there, Iowax. To be frankly honest. But when you've got an idea in your head, I decided I'm building an empire. Every time I make a decision like that, I turned to a buddy and to my game master one day. I said, okay, why is every single character I build, I end up building an empire? He looks at me, he didn't even blink. He looks at me, he goes, drive. And that's what's happening now. I've got, and oh, by the way, Storm, I did get the PDF sorted around I've talked to my printer already. All I gotta do is move some stats in on the back of the pictures, and that coloring book will be good to go. So we're going to be adding that. And I'll ask you just flat out. I was going to ask something and then went straight out. So I'll get to that later. Anyway, when you've got an idea in your head of what you feel you would like your life to look like, start making it happen. Write it down. Write a short story if you'd like. Okay. Steve, you're in the bronze. Welcome aboard. Glad you could join us. This will, in all fairness, be my last broadcast until the 17th of May. Because I'm out of here as of 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. So I mean, from my standpoint, that's where this all goes. And since I'm not taking my computer with me, the only people that'll be able to get a hold of me will be literally the ones that actually have my phone number. And even those are going to be sketchy. I'm a little busy. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Oh, nice. Ivox is going in building an empire. We had full control. We split the tribe into 8, so everyone was independent and pure, but no tribe. Well. Oh, okay. Try to read that in distance. Not necessarily a good idea. What do we got here? Oh, nice, Joe. So you got tornado warnings, but some of you ended up with 3 of them. Busy little hectic area. The thing with tornadoes, and we got to remember, people talk, humans keep talking about how powerful they are. I've never seen mankind be able to stop a tornado, be able to stop an earthquake or a landslide for that matter. And they certainly don't know how to counteract a volcano itself. Mankind has done some wonderful things. That wouldn't be a shock. Thanks very much for that, Kevin. The neat part about it from my end is I look at the imagination this way. Literally, when your mind can conceive it and your heart can believe it, you can achieve it. Okay. Now, like I've talked to you before about finances and what have you, I looked at what I did. I made some miscalculations. I'm going to be dropping as far underwater as I can get. But as it turns out, from this point forward, it's a straight upward climb because I know what I did wrong. And what I did wrong was just plain stupid on my part. So now it's a question of going, okay, let's make things happen so that not only can we make this grow, but we can make this whole world change in favor of the working people. And I don't mean just the middle class. There are millionaires that work their tail feathers off. There are paupers that are doing a phenomenal job on the street. Anybody can put effort into their own life. But you've got to believe it's possible. Okay? And the first thing you've got to believe, let your mind wrap itself around this. When you believe, when you accept and believe that you are worth the effort, that's when your life starts to change. When you start acting on that belief. Okay. Now, I've got a number of projects on the go. One of the biggest ones is to say, okay, I hid from the world. I hid from life for 56 years. I'm coming out of the gates at a dead run when I get back here on the 17th. In all fairness, I'm already going to be in full swing by then. Because I'm at the point of going, okay, I spent all this time essentially wasting time. Okay, if I'm going to change things. Oh, thank you very much there. Really? I gotta go back through that. Ellie's just telling us that Iwak's guy came in an honorable mention. So we go back up here because I just like knowing what I did wrong. Joey's definitely in with gold. Go down here. See, all I did was bypass Storm in LA in this case. Now, maybe I missed somebody there. Couldn't have been. Iwak came in at, where are we? Way back up here. No, that wasn't his first show. Oh, well, I don't worry about it terribly much. The reality is that we've got a situation on our hands. This world, the one that you're living in, the one that I'm living in, has the potential of being the greatest mark in civilization's history. Oh, not a problem, Mary. We have the opportunity, in spite of what the media and the other end, a lot of people would have you believe. The human race right now has the opportunity to turn this into the brightest, most sparkling, glaring spot in recorded history. If we pull our heads out of the sand and start working on the things we know can work. Okay, I'm done. I'm going to the top. Okay, now I've said this, but I've said this vocally, Lord knows how many times. Probably the only one that cares how many times. Now, the neat about it is when I make this trip down to Reno, okay, and I'll tell you this again, but I will mention, if you're planning on being in Reno, okay, when I have, I will be double checking email just in case somebody has purchased one of the books. I'm bringing a few with me. Okay, and those ones will go at the normal at the base cost without the shipping, because I'll have them on me. But very few books are going with me. Way too much in the way of weight. Hey, and then things around. There we go. There we go. Thank you so much for sorting that out, Ellen. Joe Stewart is in with the gold. Iowaks is in with silver. Steve Knox came in with bronze, and Kevin came in with honorable mention. Yeah. Sometimes things can get quiet. Renee, how you doing? Glad you could join us. When I head down to Reno tomorrow, okay, I leave my house at 7:00 in the morning. Now I am taking a few books with me. Come to think of it, I've got to run that off too. I am taking a few with me, but very few, because I'll be in the air. I'll be in transit from 7 in the morning until roughly 5:30 at night. So that night that's booked for my other half, period. But I got 4 days after that, therefore 12 meals, okay, where if people desire to sit down and talk to me during a meal, I don't have a problem with it. Okay, and we've already talked about that with our other half, because the 13th I'm booked. That's my birthday, okay, and that's being spent with my other half. But I've got this picture in my head. I'm running right to the wire. I'm coming down as close to the bottom, to the depths I can get. Okay, I've already gone underwater. Now I'm just going a little deeper. Then I'm going to start climbing. And what I'm going to be doing here, when I come back from the holiday, I'm going down to work as well, by the way. Let me ask you this, and absolutely drop the ideas into the chat room or drop me a message of topics of areas we are coming back to rebuild this world. The UFOs, the alien races, all that. Slight update on that little thing. I keep questioning, am I losing my mind when I put all these races together? And then I talk to somebody and they corroborate whatever I've already told them. So I'm going, okay, imagination is out the window. That's not the problem. But what is the problem, if you will, is I now have races of the world. I'm doing the second printing. We're going through that. Okay, and we've already started working on the final edge of it to bring it out in short order. Book 2, second volume, already has another 60 races, 60 different races. Okay, and I had to start the layout for book 3. So apparently we don't have a shortfall. Okay, but it does mean I've got to get to work on a few things. Not the least of which is the ones that are already there. Now, the fact of the matter is, I'm letting my imagination go right to the hilt and going, okay, what do I desire? What is holding me back? Well, I'll tell you, the first thing that's been holding me back, and probably you, is this issue of why me? Okay, why am I standing here? What's the drive? And it came to me the other day. I'm sitting there at the restaurant, at a coffee shop, restaurant, call it what you will. I was sitting there writing my journal, and it dawned on me. I'm looking at this. Why am I pushing so hard to give people an option on how to have a better life? And here's the answer I came back. If not me, who? If not now, when? So I put it all aside and went, okay, we're going to change this world. We're going to simply light a fire in your life, get you excited about changing your life and having the things you desire using your effort, your money, your connections. I'm not going to give any of it to anybody. I'll give you the ideas. I will answer questions through Positive Perception, which is the live stream here, and Positive Perspectives, which is the newsletter. That stuff will all be free. But if you're looking for the written forms, did we forget to do that? We did. We are missing that at the top. I forgot to pop up the link to buy me a coffee at the top of the screen. I can't see it anymore.
It's still there, Keith, but I'll go ahead and put it in again.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, on my display it doesn't show it at all. But I know you put it up there. I just didn't see the pin there. That's okay. I came to the conclusion that I've got the tools. It's all being put in paper. Okay, the whole 9 yards of it, including I am already documenting for an easier package for people how to quit smoking, how to quit addictions without withdrawals. Now, bear in mind, these tools are tools that are used in conjunction with the other tools that are out there. That's the important factor. When we take a look at it, it's absolutely critical that you realize everything that I've done, literally everything that I've done, you can do. I can actually show you how to do most of it. But what I cannot show you is how to have faith in you. Okay, well, that's not 100% accurate. Okay, I can't do it for you. Okay, now do I have handy? No. No, I don't. Anyway, that is something to make certain that I get. So we grab this fine little notepad of mine, because one thing I was going to ask is, what tools or what skills do you feel would be beneficial to you, or for that matter, do you feel would be beneficial to other people that they may not know about? Okay. Unfortunately, in my case, I'm seeing on so much information that it's a little hard to figure out where to start. Okay. Felix, how are we doing? The neat part about it is I look at the world, I look at the world in a simple fashion. If you're not content with it, it's time to change it. But here's the kicker. Karmic law is critical. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Energy out, well, do that backwards, rewind. Be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Energy out, energy in. Now, every one of those laws, number one is equally important. Picture, if you will, a three-legged stool. Every leg is just as important as the next. Okay, but karmic law applies to everybody, literally everybody, God included. Okay, or Allah, or whatever you want to call it, universe, doesn't matter. If it exists, karmic law applies to it. Where karmic law originally came from, I can't begin to tell you. It goes back before my birth. Okay, and by the way, I am not referring to my birth as in 1963 of this lifetime, or for that matter, of 1898 of the last lifetime. I am talking about way back. Now, here's the thing. I can tell you, when you get your head on straight, when you get focused on the things you personally desire, okay, that's when we can take your life and turn it around. Okay. One of the nice parts about it is I watch what's going on in this chat, because I find it fascinating that so many people come in here, and the support everybody, the support everybody seems to give people is phenomenal. This stream is a microcosm of what is possible out there. Now, it does come with stipulations, okay? And this is why when you look at the top of the stream, at the top of the chat room, you'll see a list of rules, okay? They apply to everybody, okay? And the reason I put moderators in is to make sure that regardless of who you are, regardless of station you hold, or if you have to, and we've had in the past where moderators have overstepped. I cannot afford to tolerate it. Now, I imagine a world where I don't have a heart that has a tendency of shutting down. That's a good imagination. I like it. And one day I'll manage to pull that off. The neat part of my real world is this. Okay. I have 3 muscles that tend to quit spontaneously. My right leg, my heart, or my lungs. Okay. I'm telling you, the right leg is the least painful. But you'll notice with them, thank you very much. We've just got them posted up on top here. Okay. The karmic law, that applies to everybody across the board. Okay. Now, we do our best to permit a little bit of leeway, especially for newcomers, which, by the way, we are now at 617. But first and foremost, pick one. Do not make the mistake of getting on a soapbox and telling people. You get will out in the real world. Okay. In here, telling people my religion, my belief is right. It's better than yours. No, it isn't. But you're likely to find yourself sitting on the outside of the stream looking in going, but what did I do wrong? What you did wrong in a case like that is stated that your belief was better than other people's. And it doesn't work for me. Okay. That would be start with. Number two is if you start lobbying, as in, oh, I'm running for president, vote for me, or I'm running for this office. Okay. Absolutely. Stating a simple matter of fact, as in I decided to go in to run into the, I decided to run for office because, that's just what I'm doing with my life. Okay. Problem with going, come and vote for me. I will tell you, I'm very opinionated. I'm very stuck on the way I look at things. I'm not going to tell you, walk away from whatever belief structure you're following. You question it, but then I question mine. Okay. And the other one that will get you booted in one heck of a hurry is making any comment that says somebody's opinion is wrong. Nobody's opinion can be wrong. Imagine, if you will, if you were to come to a conclusion and you were to go, well, I believe this. That's your opinion. Your belief is fine. Okay. Somebody else telling you, you can't believe that. Well, guess what? You really can. Now, I've taken a look at the world and gone, set a shockwave in motion. Okay, my back corner over here is already done. All the way from that corner to the first bookshelf. Now, you can't see that yet, but you will start to see it behind me as it happens. In all fairness, the bottom two shelves over here, you can't see them, but they're empty now because the things that were on them are gone. I looked at it and went, I don't require the clutter there anymore. Therefore, it's going away. Really. So from my standpoint, it's a pretty big issue. Okay, I look at the world going, okay, what do I do? That's an odd question for myself. But I'm wondering, and now I've got my mind going. So give me 5 seconds. This is where the imagination comes in real handy. Yep, that'll work. What do we got? 3, 8, 9, 10, and 4 words makes 14. 14, 9 is 90 is 136. Yeah, I know. What I'm doing is just an oddball eyeball, and why the heck would I do that? Not a prayer. Not a prayer. Anyway, guys, take your imagination, decide what you would like to see happen. Okay. Now, I'm putting together a description, okay, of a character that I've got running. Okay. Simply because I came up with another idea of something I can work with. But imagine, what would you like to have happen in your world that is not happening right now? Because it's those things, those are the first ones we target. In my case, it's simple. I look at my office, my bedroom. All of the excess clutter that is not supposed to be here is going away. It's just that simple. Okay. So as it goes, I'm just going to keep it that way. And that's the kicker to it. When you get the stuff moved, do not permit it to come back. Imagine, literally, picture in your own mind what it's going to look like without all the excess clutter. Okay. I keep looking at this side, but by looking here, I can see behind me. Can't picture how that happens, can you? Okay, now, one of the biggest things that you have to look at is you may be stuck in a rut. You may be stuck in a rut, and this is where, quite frankly, the gaming world comes in handy. If you get into a rut, it's very easy in the imagination to take a sheet of, to take your character, which is on paper or on computer, and go, rip, I no longer have that character. I'm going to start over. You can't do that with your life. You've got to do it by the numbers, one step at a time. Okay. The question is, are you ready to actually change the way your life is going? Now, I know some of you have stepped up to the plate in your own world and said, I'm not happy with this anymore. I'm no longer content to live the life I had. Okay. It just does not make sense that you do that. Okay. From my standpoint, you get caught in a rut, and I did the same thing. This is why my finances went where they did. Because like you, I got stuck in a rut doing things, if you will, the most ineffective way possible. If you don't change the behavior you're following, what you're creating is going to stay the same. Now, how many of you are actually happy with where your life is standing right now? Are you reaching what you consider your own highest potential? Or do you even have a clue how to get there? I'm laying odds most of you are not aware of what you're capable of, because most of you have been told it's not possible. Okay, you can't do that. You're not good enough. You're not strong enough. You're no Bill Gates. Well, Bill Gates, all he started with was his name. Okay, that was all he started with. And he went from there and took the abilities, the strengths he had, and still has, by the way, and started moving forward. Now, I will tell you, a lot of people, as they get into the upper echelon of income, make the same mistake. They literally forget where they came from. They forget about the struggles. And this is why I will tell you wholeheartedly, yes, I wrote a book, Believe in Your Finances and Follow Your Dreams. I absolutely did. Okay. Is it perfect? No, not prayer. But I've actually taken a couple of copies with me to Reno. The thing is, I've made mistakes along the way. Okay. To be clear, let's just be straightforward about it. Twice bankrupt. Once by creative financing. I managed to take a single credit card and put $2,000 on a $1,000 credit limit. That was only one of 9 I had at the time. Okay. Now, that said, massive mistake. Okay. But I went bankrupt on that. A few years later, LA goes, it's not hard to get off track if there's distraction from what's important. Absolutely. And this is why, the second time I went bankrupt, it wasn't from the same thing. My boss bounced a paycheck, and neither my boss nor my bank warned me about it until it was too late. But it became stupid when I went and did what I was guided to do by people in the know. You're over your head, go bankrupt. Now, hold on to your seats, because this is the reality behind following so-called professionals. Okay, the first time I went bankrupt was on $6,000. Now, I don't know what the translation in today's world would be, but that was back in 99. Okay, the second time was on $14,000. Okay, right now, including my car loan, I am sitting at approximately $40,000 in debt. I'm not even considering folding up my tent, because now I know how to beat it. Now I know how to correct the problem. Okay, and this is exactly why I am talking about it, because you're likely going through similar problems. Maybe not the same debt load. Maybe you've only got $200 in the bin, and that's bothering you. Okay, this is why I'm here. Is you take your imagination, drive it into overdrive. What do you think it would feel like having all the credit you've got available and having not to use it? Like just have it available, just sitting there, and you leave it alone because you can. I am here to paint the picture, to pave the way so you can make that happen. Now, I've got a character and again, I'm jumping back into the creative side. I have a character, it was a mathematical miscalculation, but the game master and I agreed to leave it there. Turns out I've got an orc that is usually, he's a full orc. He is usually, orcs are only 5.5 feet tall on average. This chap is 8'1". Okay, now, that said, we ran with, and I just went, I like the idea, let's go with it. Well, picture, if you will, somebody that size walking down the street. Now, if you can imagine it, okay, if you can't imagine it, just go to a basketball game, you'll get an idea. They're all well over the 6 foot, many of them over the 7. But you talk to somebody that is only themselves around the 5 foot mark, okay, they're going to feel that kind of overbearing feeling. Oh my gosh, look the height of that man. This is something the imagination can do. Now, I can talk about all sorts of different characters I have, but here's the thing. This one character, and this is the one that I'm in the process of documenting a solid physical description of. What I do with it? I don't know what I did with it offhand. I'm actually working on putting a physical description down to get it drawn. Now, I'm not dumb enough to try and draw it on my own at this point. I'm just not that good. But I am working on it. When you take a look at where your life is, are you content? Can you imagine a world where you're not fighting tooth and nail just to survive? Okay. Can you imagine a world where you can walk down the street? And I'm just going to put it this way. I have nothing against people that are overweight. Let us understand that. Business or friendship wise, I absolutely could care less about the size of people. Okay. I will be fully honest that, where it comes to my physical, to my attraction to somebody, absolutely their size matters. That's me personally. This does not make them a lesser person. Okay. This was brought to evidence by a chap I knew that literally, one of my clients, he literally had to buy 2 airplane tickets to get a flight because he physically had to sit in 2 seats. Okay. But his girlfriend, who was just absolutely head over heels with him, was literally small enough she could have fit in 1 pant leg. Joe's just going, I'm content with my dream journal, with Dream Journal 3. And every morning when I wake up, I write in it anything I possibly remember. And I get creative at it. It's astonishing what you can do with the dream journal. It absolutely is there, Joe. Funny thing is, you call it a dream journal. I do exactly the same thing. Okay. First thing in the morning, usually. Sometimes it's a little later in the day. But usually, first thing in the morning, I get up and I write out my journal. Whatever comes to mind. And it's amazing when you look back over it. You can tell, in my case, I can tell the days I was in a real depressed state or I was just on the verge of throwing things out. Libing, how you doing? Glad you could join us. The world is going to change here, and it is up to us to make it happen. But you've got to believe you've got the power to do it. Now, we go back to the late 70s, early 80s. There was a commercial out that went, "You've got the power." Great bang, what was it? I was going to call it Jailhouse Rock, but I don't think that was right. No, Schoolhouse Rock. Jailhouse Rock was another issue altogether. But let me ask you this. Do you feel you've got the capacity to change the world around you or to positively impact the effect on people you come in contact with? You know, the reason I've got my coffee over there, quite frankly, is because it forces me to work with my left arm. I did find out just the other day it was neat for me. I didn't realize it, but apparently before my stroke, both of my hands shook violently to the point. Now, I don't see if you can see it, but if I relax focus, this is what my hand does. Okay, if I don't pay attention to it. Okay, so you see now, apparently both my hands were shaking that badly, right? Nowadays, that's why I'm not concentrating. I am going to get this hand, my left hand, to get back to writing again. Okay, and I just saw somebody wander in here. Whoa, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And what do we got? You know, the nice little part about it. Yeah, well, that's just it, Joe. If you go back to your first dream, to your first dream journal, you'll find some remarkable stuff back there as well. Now, I'm not worried about my journal itself ever going to print. I'm keeping it, I'm putting it together. My kids will take a look at it. But that's where that ends. Okay, what happens after I'm dead doesn't matter. There is so much potential all of you have. I'm laying odds you all got a project, got an idea in your head of what you would like to do. Now, I know, people have looked at very cursory things like, I really want to desire all the clutter in my house to go away. I really would like to get a good, solid night's sleep. Now, where it comes to sleep, I'm going to tell you something that I discovered a long time ago and got corroboration with just the other day. If you're having trouble sleeping, getting a restful sleep, ask yourself one question. The last hour before you go to bed, have you shut off your texting, your videos, your movies? Okay. Have you gotten off the internet at least an hour before you go to bed? Okay. Because we're talking about an optical impact. Anything that's got all that flickering is keeping your mind awake and will interfere with you actually getting a restful sleep. No, in all honesty, well, I have not watched the show Game of Thrones. However, I do have the first 5 books, I think, in the series that are set for me to read. Okay. Right about now, though, I've got these. These are the 5, the 3 in the process of reading. This is book 4 of a 16-volume set of encyclopedias. Okay. So this is one set I'm reading. This one, I'm sure you guys recognize, is the King James Version of the Holy Bible. Actually, in all fairness, I think this one is the Gideon version. I think. This is the one I grew up with in the military. And I'm about a quarter of the way through it. So this one gets finished off. And then this book here, I'm pushing halfway. This is a novel my brother wrote, and he's in the process of rewriting. I'm going to end up talking to him about producing it after he's done. But I've got, I think, 30-some books stacked up. The Game of Thrones is literally in that list. Viking. Okay. Vibing is asking, speaking of dreams, I have a question. What is the defining difference between the dream world and the waking world? Or or are they exactly the same? Number one, in my opinion, defining difference is this. If you dream about something, it doesn't automatically happen. Okay, it's like thinking about something. When you think about doing something, the rumor is it's as bad as doing it. I'm telling you, that is the difference right there. In the dream world, you can go, I imagine I've got a torch in my hand, and it will suddenly show up. You're capable of making anything happen. In the real world, in the physical world, the waking world, if you desire a torch in your hand, you're going to have to go through the steps one at a time to make it happen. It's the time difference that really becomes the issue. In the dream world, you just think and there it is. In the waking world, you've got to get up and make it happen, working out one step at a time. But there's an old African proverb that goes, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Okay. In the waking world, whatever you desire to happen, that's what you do. Wu, you are right. Depending on what it is. Wu's just saying some people can do the same in the real world as the dream world. Some can, but the odds of it are limited. Okay. Now, to be clear, I have never even heard, and we used to get into this argument, into the debate way back in the 70s. Some of you will remember this. Okay. As a Dungeons and Dragons player, okay, as a gamer, we were accused so often about going into the back alleys and studying our magic tomes for hours on end, and then casting fireballs or raising the dead. Have you ever, any of you, ever actually heard of somebody physically doing that? Walking into a grocery store and going, hocus pocus, hullabaloo, and literally it's like boom, and fire jumps from their fingertips. Okay, have you ever even heard a remote inference of that if they didn't have technological backup? The dream world is a great thing. All of that's possible. This is where the gaming world brings the dream world into plausible reality, because the game with now, where it comes to taking the dream world and making it is where it gets to be interesting. Okay, because by analyzing what I'm doing in the gaming world, I'm absolutely able to reorganize things and go, well, what I was missing was this. I wasn't paying attention to the overhead. Now I am. And again, it boils down to deciding something needs to happen and literally getting up. Odd thing, you desire to drop weight. In the real world, you go, oh, poof, I'm absolutely skin and bones, buff as I can get. Okay, and all of a sudden it's there. I desire to drop weight in the gaming world, in the dream world. I just essentially go, I'm not 190 pounds, I'm 170. Done. Now I can carry on with my day. The waking world, modern medicine is doing the same thing. Oh, you don't have to exercise. You don't have to eat right. You can eat all the stuff you'd like, and all you do is pop this one little pill, and the weight will go away. Not a wise idea, in my opinion. I tried that route. It was great. I got a medication to help speed my weight loss. 3 days into taking it as prescribed, I had a heart attack. I'm thinking, yeah, okay, if I die, I'll drop weight. But it really boils down to this. If you die, you're going to put less calories into your body than you're going to burn out of them. And therefore, you're going to lose weight. But the waking world boils down to an issue of people do not, if it was as simple to just think about it and make it happen, rest assured, this world, first of all, wouldn't exist. Because way too many people, authors, creative people, movie writers, script writers, have all done the same thing. They've blown the world up. LA is going, in my opinion, and in my own world, it is possible to manifest to a degree, but it does take thought. It does take thought, decision, and work towards those goals. And my cursor is in the wrong place. She goes, sometimes things just show up, as they do in mine. Okay, how sex is playing normal. Okay, but like LA is saying, the majority needs to be worked on and worked towards, as in one step at a time. Now, I will tell you, I'm going to pop this neat little bubble for you. The theory is the hardest step in the world is to take on a journey is the first one. That's the easiest one comparatively. The first step everybody makes. The second step is usually almost a forced issue. Okay, especially when you look at kids when they're learning to walk. Okay, first step is made, then they lift the other one and they start to wobble, so they step forward to catch themselves and avoid bouncing off the floor. The third step is the one that happens when you make the decision you're going to keep going forward. In the dream world, in the imaginary world, it is literally a question of decide where you want to go, and there you are. You can get from one side of the house to the other. Sometimes you can do it in the waking world, but not often. Oh, okay. That's the easy part, vibing. Okay, vibing's asking, what do you think the limiting force is that prevents others from being able to harness the power to create what they want in life without regard to rules of the waking world? Two major factors. One, you've got to take the rules of the waking world into consideration, because when we are talking about manifestation, we are talking about not only overcoming your own fears and your own barriers, but you're up against all of reality, where the massive majority of 8 billion people go, oh, I'm sorry, it's not possible to bilocate to another physical location. You can't do it. Okay, now, I happen to be an exception to a lot of rules. You're told when you die, when you die, you get shipped to the morgue. That's it. Your deal is done. I didn't buy into that. I got up and left. But the major problem beyond that, and this is a very blunt reality of it. Okay, you used the term in your question that is the backbone of the problem. Take the word want, and I'm in the process of writing these articles. I've already got them in prior videos. But the word want, the moment you say, I want such and such, and this is what everybody's taught. If you want something, ask for it. Problem. In the waking world, which works on linear time, okay, that's how people relate to it. The moment you say, I want something, what you're literally telling the universe or God or whatever you want to call it, what you're literally putting out is, I desire to experience a lack of whatever you're asking. So let's say you're asking for $1 million. I want $1 million in my bank account. Okay, now the second you do that, the universe goes, okay, you desire to have a lack of $1 million in your account. Absolutely, no problem, done deal. Then you look at your bank account and go, but I said I wanted it. Absolutely. But in the waking world, linear time applies. And it makes total sense. Your mind's got to get wrapped around the idea that that is actually backwards. LA is absolutely correct here. And of course, especially in LA's world, the whole idea of words, they are power. They bring the etheric world into the material world in a more direct fashion. Okay. Now, take that word want, and you've heard me do this. I'm sure of it. I'll say I want. No, that's wrong. I desire. The word want creates an energy of lack, of wanting. You won't attain what you're aiming for in all likelihood. It is possible, but you're making it hard. Okay. So you turn around, start using either, in the case of both the words want and need. Either one are interchangeable with choose and desire. Catch yourself whenever you utter the word want. Immediately stop yourself mid-sentence and go, no, I desire or I choose to have whatever it is. Because it's like you throw a little pebble in when you say the word want. Okay. And usually it's just, I want such and such. Right? You go, I want such and such. No, I desire such and such. It's like taking a little rock, dropping it into a puddle. You'll get a little bit of a ripple. But when you go, I desire or I choose, you put the emphasis behind it, and you're taking a much bigger rock and firing it into the puddle. And that shockwave is going to override the energy of want, that energy of lack. It's going to wipe it out and overshadow it with the energy of attainment, the energy of prosperity. It's literally in the way your mind works and the way reality does. Now, I will be doing, and I'm going to list off a few other words. Okay, I've got it. As a matter of fact, why don't I do that while I'm at it? I've done this before, but I just desire to make sure I get it right. Now, some of those words, and write these down, absolutely. You'll notice I'm doing the same thing. First on the list, take the word can't. Take that and write it right out of your vocabulary. Okay. Anytime you utter the word can't, you're literally telling yourself it's not possible. So you change that and you change it to can. Okay. It may not be a good idea, but you can do it. Then we have, as we've already discussed, want and need. Both of these, by the way, all of these words in any language I've ever come across, all of them apply. They all have the same effect. Want and need are self-limiting. Alter those to either desire or choose. Again, interchangeable depending on what you're saying. Now, we take the word impossible. Okay. You take the word impossible, and I love the way the American military did this. Okay. The American military goes, the difficult we're already doing. The impossible simply takes a little longer. Oh, there we go. And that's exactly where you start with it, LA. LA goes, I choose to have a quick, completely successful appointment at the DMV tomorrow. Absolutely. Okay. Now, the difference between choose and desire is choosing is when you've got it right there in front of you, usually. And we're just talking about basic language, basic sentence configuration. Christine, how are you doing? Glad you could join us. Now, you take the word impossible, shift it to possible. Almost all things are possible. There are some that are not, okay, that are not likely. But that's those ones. Then we take the word always. I will tell you wholeheartedly, on the massive majority of things, you bet, always seems to work. But let me ask you this. Does a six-sided dice always land on a flat side? Most people would say yes. The problem is, I've got an actual physical picture and 3 live witnesses that saw a six-sided dice on a standard roll end on its edge. I've yet to see one end on its point. Okay, but always there is almost invariably an exception. But the catch is, you may not see the exception. So you take the word always, and in most cases, you just change that to usually. Okay, or you can go almost always, or nearly always, a qualifier that knocks it out the door. Okay, the same applies to the word never. Okay, when you utter the word never, you're saying it won't ever happen. Well, this is akin to saying, once you're dead, you never wake up. Bad news, I broke that rule a long time ago. Just going back up here half a second. You know, the nice part about it is that now those words work very well. Now, another one that I really caution you against is the word if. Because if works great in mathematics or in working on calculations. But if itself, I usually alter to say when. Now, you've heard the phrase, if at first you don't succeed, try again. Well, here's the kicker. That's great. But the moment you go, if you don't succeed, you're creating that possibility and thereby the reality of failure. Okay, now here's a neat little kick to it. When you go, if at first you don't succeed, try again. Take a look at the other side. When at first you do succeed, go do something else. It's a slightly more uplifting outlook in my eyes. Now, what do we got here? Vibing's gone. Whoops. Can't quite read that. Oh, as per Nike's motto, just do it. Absolutely. He goes on to go, one of the mistakes people may make when trying to bend the spoon is that they try to use their body or mind. But if there is no spoon, then there is no body or mind. Well, this is true. But it does take a little bit of work to get around that. It takes belief. And vibing, you're not that far off. The neat little part about it is when you get it straight in your own head, okay, things will change. There's no doubt in my mind at all. So the word if, I almost always alter that to say when. And then we take the word try. Okay, that gets swapped over to do. Now you can bet your bottom dollar these are all going to be laid out in much greater detail over the coming months. Now I'm missing one. I know of 9, but I've got 8 listed here. I am firmly convinced there are 12 other words that are universally self-defeating. Okay, and this is why I say It is absolutely a question of taking that imagination of yours, okay, bringing it out of the mind into the vocal word. Now, here's the thing. Thought is one level of creation. Word or sound is another. Okay. The second you apply it to the physical world and you draw it or you write it, which by the way are the same thing, you're bringing it out of the auditory into the physical world. The more senses you can involve in your desire, the more likely you are to attain it. Okay. And just boils down to, first, do you believe it's possible? And second, are you willing to do the work necessary to make it happen? Okay. You absolutely have the right to believe what people are telling you, to go, oh, we're all going to die. Nothing I do is ever going to matter. That was one of the most debilitating things I was told as a kid. And it wasn't by my parents. My own brother told me flat out, I was a young teenager, that nothing I ever did, okay, I made the mistake of believing him. Now, here I am doing my level best to light a torch so you guys can follow, avoid the pitfalls I walked into, and have a much brighter life. Now, think of it this way. I'm 61. How much further ahead would I have been if at your age of 40, 45, maybe 20, I don't know the ages. I don't even know who the youngest in the chat room is. Gordana, how you doing? Glad you could join us. You can look at whatever is out there. You can believe what you will. But if I had the outlook that I've got now and the tools I've got now, if I knew then what I know now, how far ahead do you figure I would possibly be had I started 30 years ago doing what I am doing now? Okay. How far ahead do you figure we could have been? If I had gone way back when it was suggested, a friend of mine actually told me, he says, look, Keith, he goes, and now bear in mind, he was a gamer, very into the science fiction, but the guy was also he was a budding archaeologist. He come up to me one day and he goes, Keith, you're going to be just like Xavier. I looked at him and I said, you want to run that by me again? He says, you're going to be able to teach people to do things you don't know how to do, but you're going to do that down the road. As it turns out, my son, who plays with a standard controller on a PS5, I taught him how to play with one hand. Okay, not a specialized controller, a modern controller, a standard one, the same one you guys use. Okay, we were using the PS2 at the time, and I taught him how to use that. I can't use it. I have enough trouble using a controller with both hands. But when you look at the world, you have a choice. You can look at the world, and let me show you something here. I just have to get up and get it. Now I'm going to show you something, because this is the other side of reality. Now, some of you know exactly what this is. Okay? For those of you that don't, this is an ephemeris. This is the tool that we use when we're working with astrology. Now, here's the kicker to it. I got told one day if I couldn't do it by heart, that I wasn't a qualified astrologer. Here's the funny part. Okay, and I don't know if you can read any of it. I'm not looking at the numbers. But see those? Those are all planetary locations for all of the different signs on every day of the month. And in this case, it covers 100 years. Now, do you really think I'm going to memorize every number there? But here's the reason I brought this out. In this book, there is information where you can pick what's going on. Okay. But as with everything, you can see the negative side of things or the positive. The choice is yours. Okay. If you choose to look at the information in this book and see negative, you will see negative. Unfortunately, you will also scare the daylights out of yourself and prevent yourself from attaining the prosperity that you could have. Okay. Same thing applies to the news. Every event that you witness, every one of them has a positive or a negative. Okay. Point, and the proof is in the pudding. When I hit a pedestrian one day with my car. Okay. I'll tell you, shocked the daylights out of me. But I was appalled by it. She came out of nowhere. I could go into the details, doesn't matter. The important factor is that the woman lived. And when I was making my report to the police, another young lady come up behind us. She came up, knocked on the window, and she goes, "Excuse me." And so, of course, the cop rolled down the window. He says, "What's up?" And she goes, "I don't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to say thank you." And I looked at it, and of course, both me and the cop were really confused. It's like, "What are you thanking us for?" She goes, "If I'd have been in the lead car, I'd have run over the woman. She'd be dead. The fact you were there meant she lived." There is a positive side to everything that happens. Okay. Now, I've talked about the idea of war being an absolute horrendous thing and almost useless, but it does have a little bit of an impact on population. So if you're thinking the population is getting a little big, well, let's face it, it cuts down on population and it does make somebody money, but I'm betting dollars to donuts the massive majority of you are not any better off because of the number of wars going on around the world. When you take a look at these words, these 8, and I'll figure out the other 4 eventually. Okay, I could figure out the 9th one. I've got it written down somewhere. But the imagination is the key to the higher senses and the key to your reality getting better. Can you see yourself in a better world? Can you find, and again, I'm going to take this back to astrology here. Okay. Can you find, oh, there we are. Yeah, LA's going, that was someone looking for an excuse or a reason. A photographic memory person wouldn't do it simply for fear of left brain blowout. My brother had an eidetic memory. Okay. I mean, it was phenomenal. Tested IQ in excess of 180. And in 1979, I alphabetized his library. 6,000 full-size science fiction novels. Okay. I.e., with Heinlein, Piers Anthony, Anne McCaffrey, and so many more. I haven't got a clue who they were, but you guys get the idea. Okay. I alphabetized them. Once I finished alphabetizing them, this man asked me to just literally, he goes, pull a book off the shelf at random and read a couple lines out of it. I remember now it was Centaur Isle by Piers Anthony. And I went about a third of the way into the book, just opened it up and read 2 lines out of the middle of the page. My brother not only told me what book I was reading, but he told me what page I had read. Now, that kind of a memory could absolutely take an ephemeris and go, here's all the numbers. Okay. But the fact of the matter is, most people cannot do that. They haven't learned. I have enough trouble. Okay. I have enough trouble remembering people's names. Of course, I have come to the conclusion I actually had to realize that I was always telling myself, I was always telling myself, I've got a lousy memory for names. The moment I started telling myself my memory for names is getting better, all of a sudden I'm remembering people's names. Your imagination, what you feel you can do, you can almost bet your bottom dollar on that you're going to be able to make it happen. Okay? It's a question of, are you willing to do the work? Can you imagine yourself with that better setup? Okay? Can you see yourself in a world where you don't have to worry about your finances, where you don't have to worry about what you eat? Okay? I've got some hiccups. Okay? Like my teeth require regrowing, and I haven't yet gotten out of my own way to make it happen. Okay, I will one day. I'm still hung up on the idea of how am I supposed to be doing that? What minerals do I need? And my left brain is causing a problem. I know this. Okay, but for the moment, it's a barrier. It is one I will eventually overcome. Hopefully, it'll happen a lot sooner than later. But the reality of your imagination is literally, are you going to focus on the negative side to give yourself, and I'll use this term very bluntly because I do it. Okay. I will look at things and go, I can't, I'm looking at it going, that's not going to happen because it protects me, my eyeball. It stops me from going down the road of, gee, I hope it's going to work out. Okay. And it's like, no, it's not going to work out, so why bother? Yeah, Ken, I absolutely know we can. Dogface, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Yeah, I'm very glad to see you here again, Dogface. I know we can regain them. What I haven't quite figured out, and I've been relying on the wrong thing in all fairness, I've been looking for what chemicals are missing, what minerals are required. You have a good night there, Renee. Absolutely. Thanks so much for sharing your time with us. I've got to get out of my own way and just go, my body knows what it requires to heal. Okay, we know this. There is a staggering amount of poison that is in the air, in the foods. Okay, but our body can override that. The neat thing about it, okay, I'm going to ask you something really bizarre there, Dogface. Okay, I see this a lot. And I think you're in Australia. Mate is usually an Australian word. But does anybody know if mate is simply for male and there's another word for female, or does mate just apply to everybody? See, my father regrew 3 sets of teeth. So I know it's possible. But there is no way I'm going to a dentist. Oh, the word LA is mate. Mother Alpha Tango Echo. Okay. I'm just curious if that is actually applying to just males, or if it applies to both, or is there another word that applies to female friends? Oh, thank you so much, Dogface. I appreciate that. I say a lot of things to a lot of people, and some of them they actually appreciate it, not many. The reality is your imagination is what is going to make things happen, or it's going to create a massive barrier between you and your own success. If you're looking at a set of teachings. Now, I talked about what is in the ephemeris. Now let's go the other end. Okay, we'll go back to this fine little book over here. This one here. Literally billions of people are reading this and pulling the negative side and the excuse side out of it clear as a bell. Somebody else is going to straighten out my mess. No, they're not. In my opinion, you've got free will. You've got free choice. You don't have freedom from consequence. When you're dealing with astrology, you can choose to look at the positive or you can choose to look at the negative. Okay? I recommend you choose to look at both because it's a balance between all of it. But the moment you start looking in the mirror and going, you can't do this, you're going to suffer. Okay? Absolutely, you're going to end up suffering. If for no other reason than you believe you are. But your imagination is what is going to do that. Now, let me ask you this, guys. Okay, I'm going to be over the next week, I'm going to be redesigning my approach to how I'm dealing with things. Okay, I like the idea of running one step at a time for the course of the week. But what I'm missing is what are going to be the most effective topics, the things that you guys feel are being held back, that you're being blocked by. Because those are the first ones. Where did we go here? I'm just looking up. Gordana, all you've written is as we were there, all that I'm seeing. Oh, okay, typo. What you've written there, and I don't know what you were going with, is you've written, as it shows up on my end, as we were their property. Okay. What I don't know is what that refers to. And this is why I say, it's, when I'm looking in the chat room, there's things amiss. But this is why vocal conversation works so much better than text or than chat room. Don't get me wrong. I will absolutely keep an eye open for that and bring clarity to it as best I can. Oh, okay. Well, that would make sense, in LA. See, the funny part about it is people can believe what they will. Okay. People have said, and I'm still stunned by this, frankly. Why people listen to me at all? I mean, really, I feel half the time like I'm a raving lunatic. But I'll get over it. But I love the way a chap put it for me one day. He goes, look, he says, Keith, you can't stop people from putting you on a pedestal, but do not ever let yourself believe you belong there. That statement is going to run with me forever and a day. Okay. As is the thing my brother told me on his deathbed. Okay. When he said, look, as we're growing up, your parents will encourage you to have a mind of your own, to make your own decisions. But as you get older, they're going to start arguing the point and trying to hold you back to maintain their connection in the way of a child. I'm telling you right now, you get your head on straight, and if you show up in this chat room, my idea is real simple. If I can leave you with something, so when you walk on, when you get out of the channel, out of this stream, when you go on with your day, you're feeling uplifted. You're feeling like you've got somewhere. Okay. This is the important part. Your imagination is what's going to take you there. Okay. I mean, there are a lot of things. I was told as you get older, your eyes will fail. Well, let me put it this way. 15 years ago, okay, if I held my glasses right there, I couldn't physically see them at all. I was told I would go blind. I was already at -5 3/4 in one eye, in my left, and -6 in my right, or vice versa. Okay, which basically means I was a quarter point from being classified as legally blind. Today, number one, I've got 20/20 eyesight where it comes to reading. Okay, I still require my glasses to read at a distance, to work on the computer, or to drive. So I'm still using them, but I am working and improving them. I appreciate that, Dogface. I'm glad to hear that. You know, the nice part about it is every one of you has a strength. Every one of you has a weakness. The key is for us to focus on what your strengths are. Okay. I remember I referred to somebody. Thank you very much, LA. I referred to somebody as being blonde. When I referred to them as being blonde, I got told I was being racist. And I looked at the woman. She happened to be brunette. I said, okay, so what color would I call that hair? I said, is she not blonde? And the girl goes, well, yeah, she's blonde. I said, then how does that become racism? Okay, the thing is, karmic law is critical. You know, the one thing we have to look at, well, I guess you don't have to look at your choice. I'm not content with my world. Okay, net result, I'm doing everything possible that I can bring into bear. But, you know, I'm not on any medication anymore. I pulled myself off it against the doctor's will, but she retired, so I'm okay. Okay, pulled myself off the medication, altered my diet, and I'm now feeling more energetic than I ever have. I'm in better shape now than I was 30 years ago. And I was going to say in 30 years, I'm going to be in better shape yet. I'm aiming for my 137th birthday. That being said, I haven't even hit my halfway mark. Okay. Yeah, probably. It was funny. I ran into my former doctor, just a couple of weeks back. And she looked at me and she goes, Keith, you've lost a lot of weight. Are you okay? I looked at her and I went, yeah, I'm fine. I said, it took me 2 years to do it, but I dropped 60 pounds. And she goes, well, how did you do that? I said, easy. I quit eating as much and I started moving more. She just looked at me kind of dumbfounded. You know, because modern doctors seem to think pills and medication will solve the problem. And then, of course, you've got the engineers to go, here's a neat little gadget. Put this on, you won't even have to exercise. You'll get a toned body. They did the same thing with steroids, by the way. Pop this pill, you'll become massively muscular. Absolutely you will. But, problem, you won't necessarily have the strength to back it. Yeah, when I first met you there, Dogface, I was around the 230 mark. Okay, I'm now down in the low 190s. You know, on top of that, I'm now, for the first time in probably 40 years, I don't do it on the floor, okay, because I literally get dizzy. But on this bed, I can now do sit-ups, which I haven't been able to do in probably 40 years, okay, which for me is a phenomenal shift. You know, I've always looked at people that were physically in good shape and gone, that would be great. But you know, there are impediments when you can't move well. With a bad leg, it does slow you down. But here's the news flash. I've got a bad leg. It slowing me down was nothing but a viable excuse. It gave me a good reason, an acceptable reason, not to do things. You know, the reality of it is this. All that I've pulled off, I'm not a medical doctor. Okay, I'm not a licensed psychologist, a licensed financial advisor. I don't have any degrees that say, hey, my name's R. Keith Andrews, PhD, MYZ, XYL. I don't have all of those. Okay. I don't have any of those. All I've got is 61 years of watching people make the same repeated silly moves. Okay. And I made my fair share of them. But I also came to realize that acknowledging your own shortfalls is one of your greatest strengths that you'll ever rediscover. When you can look in the mirror and go, I am at a loss on this particular topic. I require assistance. That is one of the best things you can ever find out about yourself. The neat little part about it is every one of you has a strength, and every one of you has a weakness. It's not a question of not being interested in your weakness. The interest for me in what your shortfall is to help you identify it so we can take that shortfall and turn it into a strength. Okay. The reality is weaknesses, they are simply shortfalls, but you gotta remember, here's how it was explained to me. Imagine, and you hear that word, imagine. In your brain, you've got enough energy, you've got every ability you've got, every skill you've got, every attribute you've got is all lit up in individual rooms. Now, your skin color, that is a set thing. It doesn't change. Well, that's not true. Michael Jackson changed his. Okay, your skin color stays the way it is. Okay, pigmentation may be modifiable. I'm still working on that. On the whole, don't bother. Skin color, eye color, doesn't matter. But are you mechanically inclined? Or do you have a mathematical head? Are you physically ambidextrous? You can use either hand equally well. Okay, now let's say you've got 100 different abilities all marked off that you've got the choice of. Okay, I will get to that in 10 seconds, Joe. Let's say you've got 100 abilities you've listed off. Now, let's go to your power plant. Okay, let's go to the energy base that you've got. You've only got enough power to light 15 rooms. You only get 15 options. Joe's going, can our parents dream at night when they sleep and not know it? Absolutely. Absolutely they can. Many people will actually dream at night and not know about it, not remember it. And then the following day, they suffer from deja vu. What it boils down to is they saw something in their dream, they forgot they saw it, and then they see it again. Okay, but absolutely anybody can dream and not remember it. Now, the reality is, if you don't get into deep sleep, you won't rest very well. This is something that pretty much has been corroborated on a lot of fronts. And it's one of those things that I do accept as functional. Where are we here? Dogface goes, my mom told me she went fishing for a lamb in the dream field. In a dream. At least she caught it. She goes, at least she caught it though. I never catch anything. Well, first and foremost, Dogface, let's experience a little bit of that was the missing word. It is so. The word try. That word, as Yoda put it, there is no try, only do. Tonight, when you go to bed, get an image in your head as you're going to sleep, and draw that image of fishing in your dream. Okay, but this time, go into the dream, go into your sleep imagining pulling in a massive haul of fish. Okay. Now, a massive haul if you're dreaming net fishing. A good sized fish if you're dreaming hook fishing or line fishing. But go to bed with that in mind. Okay. And see what it does. Don't take my word for it. Okay. I'll tell you, some of the best visions I've had, I like the algorithm I came up with for advertising, the word of mouth algorithm. I woke up with that. Okay. This idea that I've got to wipe all of this clutter out of my life, that I woke up with. Dogface, that really is. A buddy of mine used to fish with grenades. Same idea. It is, at least up here in Canada, it's illegal. Okay. Can't imagine why it would be illegal. Don't go there. But it does work. Okay. The fact of the matter is, there are ways to bend the rules, but you have to take into consideration the laws of the land in which you live. Because I don't know about you, but I don't do the vertical bar scene well. Heck, my last lifetime, I spent a lot of time behind bars, and I still didn't do it well. The reality of the world is this. When you can imagine doing something and you have the get up and go to actually do the work, you can make it happen. Okay. One of the books I'm working on, and I am starting to put these into positive perspectives. Okay. Are the fourth, and there are three words. The formula for success, the basic one, is belief plus focused effort equals success. But you also have this neat little thing. There are 4 words required to get that focused effort. Okay, you've got to have a purpose. You've got to have a plan. You've got to have persistence, and you've got to have patience. Those 4 things will give you that focused effort. Okay, and the more focused you are, the more likely you are to attain your goals. Oh, there we go. One of the neat things about this world, is we can listen to all the news out there. We can look at all the horoscopic forecasts. We can take a look at all the numerological layouts that you'd like. Any form of exploring the future, even if you want to look at logical extrapolation of available information. Okay, everything. You can see a positive, you can see a negative, you can see a neutral. Let me ask you this. Which one are you interested in propagating, in replicating? Are you interested in replicating a depressing outlook on life? If so, keep focusing on the negative. Oh, Dogface, jail. You ever go into a jail cell, all the bars are vertical. Okay. That's the easiest way to look at it. Now, last lifetime, I spent a lot of time in behind bars. And then I went to work for the military, killing people and getting paid for it. This lifetime, I haven't even, and I'm not unhappy about this, I've never even had a speeding ticket. That does not mean I haven't sped. Okay. Matter of fact, I cut through, and it's not so much I'm proud of this, more shocked. I cut through a small town and just shy of double the speed limit and got away and walked away with a verbal warning. I hit a pedestrian with my car, and I had my premiums drop. You know, so when you think about it, there are exceptions to virtually every rule. Okay. There's not many that I know of where we talk about somebody living forever. Here's the closest thing to living forever for you. Okay. This neat little thing here. Okay. It's a book, obviously, but I've got my name across here. Now, I've got a book in my possession. That's Birth of the Wolfpack, by the way. That's the novel series I'm writing, which covers a lot of the metaphysical tools we're talking about in the series. Okay. The neat part about it is I've got a book that somebody wrote, I forget who offhand, that was written in 1850. So it's almost 200 years old. You know, right now it's 170. You know, the nice part about it is it's a way of making yourself immortal. You take a look at the artwork that, like, for instance, Michelangelo did. Okay, he made a lasting impression. There was a gentleman that is attributed with 2,000 years ago saying, "Hey, let's be nice to each other." That was essentially all he said. Okay, 12 people joined on the bandwagon and went, "Hey, he's got a good idea. Let's be nice to each other." Now, that lasted for 2,000 years. Okay, now I'm back once again to pass this same message on. Okay, that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. But here's the kicker. In my lifetime, I've got 617 subscribers here. Okay, 617, not 12. Do you think if 12 can do that and change the course of society for 2,000 years, how much positive impact can we have as a horde of 617, well, 618, because I'm here. But with 618 of us doing it, how much of an impact can we have on this world if we put our hearts and minds to it? Well, I need that there. Oh, I could. Well, I'm not going to. Okay. They are staying. I will be keeping this clear now. I finally went out and got a razor to actually do that with. But the sideburns are staying. Like I told my other half, I'll keep the face clear. No problem there. Okay. But the sideburns are staying. And no, I'm not about to go and get a cigar to chew on here. Closest thing I'll chew on is this neat thing here. You know, the fact is, I'll end up chewing on one of these half the time anyway. Neat little pen. By the way, I found out decades back, and that's why I quit doing it that much. I used to do the same thing with an old brand, and I know some of you will remember it. Do you remember the Eagle brand pens? A blue pen. Okay. I ended up chewing the back off one of those. You know, ended up chewing the back end off one of those. Ink exploded in my face. Now, you would have thought I would have stopped. Didn't happen. Simon, thank you so much. I will be back on the 17th. I'll be working on more of that. But, oh, we are getting down, aren't we? You know, the neat part about it is this. You've got the choice. And regardless of what your past has led you to at this point, if you're worried, if you're reading the Bible, if you're reading the Quran, doesn't matter. If you're reading in it and anything negative there, okay, find a positive. If you're following the Wiccan way and you're looking at anything negative, find the positive. Okay, I will absolutely, with people's permission, point people in their direction to help them see the positive in a wayward fashion. Okay, if you're looking at astrology, there is absolutely positive outcome of every aspect. You just have to learn to see it. Thank you so much, Will. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I will be arriving in Reno at 5 o'clock, roughly 5:30 tomorrow afternoon, and we'll be there until first thing Tuesday, first thing on the 14th. Oh, there you go, Woo. So where are you getting back from? I know you're all over Hexav Acre half the time. But, the neat part about it, we have a choice. We can continue looking at the negative side of life, or we can look at the positive. Your call. But it's your imagination that will enable you to see a positive outcome. Okay. Yes, sometimes we get into a real twisted outlook. I've got to get to be doing more in the way of social interaction. Good morning there, Phil. I really have to get more into that. The reality is it's time for me to quit hiding in the shadows. It's time for me to step out into the light and go, light the torch and go, okay, here we go. Now, here's the neat thing. This funny little issue of mine. Picked it up a while ago. Okay, this is the same model that I've got on the back of all my self-help books. And again, it really says it all. Okay, because this is literally a lighthouse. And all that we're aiming and doing is lighting this up so you can see where the potentials are. But it's still going to be up to you to decide whether you're going to move forward or whether you're going to stay in the position you're in. That becomes your call. Yeah, whatever you do, don't go driving through the mall there, Wolf. The nice part about it is as soon as you get a clear image in your own head, focus on it. Okay? Focus on it, making it as bright, as real as you possibly can. Now, I've just been told we're down to the last 5. With that in mind, I'll be back again, but not until the 17th of May. Until then, do take care of yourselves. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me. I really appreciate it. Thank you for sharing your time and your communication with all of us. When I come back, we will carry on forward. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.